Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, have the ladies with me. Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Excellent morning, ladies.
How's everything?
Fine.
How are you on this seat?
These days, right?
Yeah. I'm not used to seeing you here.
You've missed me here, right? Just say it. Just say it.
I like the energy I get from this. How are you?
I'm good. I've been looking forward. I'm looking forward to the rains, not so much because of the flooding. So we have that as an issue, but because of the pests that come with it. So we have maize in abundance. We have mangoes. I love to eat all of those. So now I haven't been seeing much of it. So I'm wondering, what's the word? Are we in rainy season now? Have we entered the rainy season or we're not?
Because
it's confusing.
61 days of rain this year. Well, corn is out. I mean, I started eating roasted corn.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
That's my favorite snack. I'm so happy that
it's
out. So I started buying fresh corn, cook in the house, and I buy roasted out.
Where do you buy from?
The one on CMD Road.
Oh, okay. I think I'll go there after.
I buy the roasted between that traffic, between that place near my house.
An addiction. I love boiled corn as well.
I like it. So when I get home, I cook the fresh one, the whole house. But I've fed myself.
I like the way I eat corn.
The
best way I eat corn is adalu. That's with beans. When you boil it and then you sort of like shell it off and cook with beans. Growing up, I didn't like the process of having to shell the corn, but I love the ube. So like those are the ways, like it has to be boiled. I'm not a roasted corn person. But basically people are so, it's a bit, I'm not.
Sorry, corn and ube?
That's the pear, the local pear.
That's small pear.
I don't think that combination makes sense.
Like, Morayo does not get most of our local combinations.
Doesn't fit personally, I don't think. But I think ube and the boiled corn.
That's what I said.
Not the roasted corn. Doesn't make any sense.
Both of them are cool.
For me, that is even too hard in the first
place. The combination is horrible. And even the boli and the granite doesn't make any sense.
No, that one I don't like that combination.
It stays right here.
I don't like it.
It stays right here.
Port Harcourt style boli with fish and pepper.
Boli and granite. It doesn't go. Boli and granite.
Morayo, people are going to come for you on Twitter. You cannot be doing this. Is our institutional combinations.
What is that?
Who combined
Boli and granite is an institutional combination.
Did it wrong.
Their boli
and
their sauce
with fish. No, but they do it here a bit now.
Yeah, they do it here. No, they do it here. You can order it here.
So I posted this is Nurturing the Natural event on my page, and I said swipe for the details, and then somebody took my number, sent me a WhatsApp message to ask for the details that I posted. And it shows up in many other areas. You employ someone, they send you a mail for employment, and they write the entire body of the mail in the title. Morayo, I've seen all sorts, and this person is a graduate.
Wow.
So the academical, our lack of being thorough, our unwillingness to do the work, like investigate, is really, really bad, and it shows up in the inefficiencies when people now get into high places in government, because they've escaped from being thorough from ground up. Yes, and we need to do more. We need to be more detailed. We should stop accommodating that Nigerians don't like reading. It's not true. We can't continue to say black people don't like reading, because we know reading is key to our growth. So we must fall in love with reading. We must create reading as a culture nationwide. That's my rant, yeah. Take it.
How you doing, Maria?
I'm fine. It's another day of our self-love challenge.
Yay! All of us are loving ourselves with you.
Today is meditate. It's just as simple as take a few minutes or an hour for yourself. Sit down and just be quiet, just with yourself.
Where would you find that time?
Sit down, make the time.
There's no time.
You will make the time.
You're
in the car driving somewhere, you're in traffic. Turn off the radio. Keep your phones aside.
The crocodile right on my side.
No, but you don't wind up.
It might not be up to an hour, but Morayo, you can give the children an incentive that if you just give me 30 minutes, set the time.
You can do it.
They're waiting for you to come.
Yeah, but today you're going to be deliberate about it. So every day you come to the house, they're jumping all over you and you're talking with them. Say, but today, kids, could you give me 30 minutes or give me 20 minutes? In fact, they'll help you with the time.
You know what you can
say, Mommy, it's 20 minutes.
That's 20 minutes. Just looking at myself.
Yes, just look at yourself. Start from just looking at yourself.
You can do it early in the morning.
Mariah, you're here, sitting down quietly.
So what's
up, Mariah? In your head, you're like...
You know I am a thinker.
Yeah.
So you're already a thinker. So I love my company. Yeah. So meditating for me is not...
Why don't you try it and then let us know tomorrow what you think?
Okay, I'll let you know.
Meditation
early in the morning.
Combined with visualization. You just be smiling. I'll just be thinking of all the things I want. How the things I will do, how many things. So, like that visualizing brings joy to me.
I like that.
So,
visualizing does bring joy. Yeah, because I have a few things I'm working
brooding.
Yeah. It's brooding in my mind.
Comes. Holy. Hallelujah. Somebody.
We're gonna do something.
Okay, let's go to
you're supposed to tell us.
Okay.
Yeah, she's brooding.
She's brooding. God is faithful.
Yeah.
When it happens,
we're going to celebrate.
The world will find out.
We're going to celebrate.
Let's go on a break. It's Wednesday. So much happening. We're going to go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with The Nation. Experts on stable Chad will worsen Nigeria's insecurity. Debbie's death has created a vacuum in Boko Haram battle, says Buhari. Why UK may consider asylum for IPOB Masab members. Government targets $504 billion goods in Africa Continental Free Trade. Government fears COVID-19 vaccine supply delay. Presidency rules out national conference. Girls have higher kidnap value, says El Rufai. And insecurity can consume Southeast, Umahi warns. Okay, which story?
I took the major headline. Yes, so we heard the sad story of the passing of the death of the president of the Republic of Chad. The Chad Republic. He had been at the front lines and he sustained some injury and he died from the injury. He's well known for his active participation in the fight against terrorism, Boko Haram. He's a well-known ally of Western countries in the fight against ISIL, and you know, just terrorism all around. And for Nigeria, our president says that this is really a sad event for us because it will definitely affect the collaborative relationship we've had with Chad in fighting Boko Haram, that Chad has played such a huge role in our fight against Boko Haram in Africa, especially countries like Niger, Cameroon, you know, and so our hearts goes out to the Republic of Chad.
Still on Chad, his son will be taking over from him for the next 18 months, whilst they're planning to have a proper democratic election going forward.
So our president, our president, speaking through his senior special assistant on media, Malam Garba Shehu, said that Nigerians should not expect a national conference. We should not expect it. We shouldn't look out for it. Those that are raising the crusaders for national conference should realize that we have a parliament and their job is to adjust anything we desire. So anybody crusading for national conference should go to the parliament and raise their issues for the lawmakers to review whatever and create a resolution for what they want.
Yeah, so the federal government yesterday said the global scarcity of COVID-19 vaccines may delay the administration of the second doses. So they suspected that this was going to happen, and that was why they gave a directive that only 50% of the vaccines should be given, so that in about 8 to 12 weeks, the people who are taking the first dose will likely be able to take the second dose while we await, you know, being able to get vaccines into the country.
Quickly talking about the Southeast, Governor Umai of Ebonyi State, Governor Umai said that the Southeast can be consumed by insecurity, saying that this attack is not just about herdsmen. That the government said the killings showed that the problems were beyond herdsmen. We want to place it on record that there are no herdsmen in Ebonyi as of now, and we didn't ask them to leave. They left on their own, meaning that they were privy to the attacks in Ebonyi, and for their safety, they should not return now. But he's saying the insecurity spreading across the Southeast is worrisome, and that is beyond herdsmen.
Yeah. Moving on to the Punch. FG may summon British envoy Ohaneze Afenifere back UK. Ritualist murder man 6 days to wedding collect ransom dismember victim. CCT chair faces Senate probe over assault on guard. Amotekun frees Ekiti monarch, arrest kidnap kingpin. OAU counsels parents as undergraduate commit suicide. Air power, ground troops, others needed to wipe out bandits, says El Rufai. And NESNG submit economy revival reports to Buhari soon, says Minister. Okay, which stories are we taking? The human angle?
I could do the human interest first. So Mr. Olokose Ojo, who was a a staff member of the National Health Insurance Scheme Unit of the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, was set to be murdered by his neighbor Kazim Mohammed and his gang for ritual purposes. So this man, who was in his early 30s, just about to get married, requested that his neighbors, who had been to jail before, about 2 of them, help him procure cows for his wedding ceremony, about 3 cows, and he gave them 350,000. Wow. So they abducted him. They sent a message to his people to send, I think they started negotiating from 12 million down to 3 million. When they had sent the money, they killed him, dismembered his body.
Oh my God.
You took out some parts for ritual purposes and used acid on him. The remaining, yes, they have been arrested. Investigations are ongoing at the moment. It's just so painful.
Some things that
and they had,
because we need to understand what is wrong with people's minds.
I don't understand. They had already gotten money from his family members. They used his ATM card and withdrew about 1.2 million already. So why do you still need his body parts for rituals?
Because the money is not enough. Please, let's take the story of
El-Rufai. Yes, so El-Rufai is speaking loud and speaking clear. Yeah. He's talking, so we know that there's been a meeting concerning financing of safe schools, and the governors were there. The Nigerian Governors Forum was there as well in attendance, and Governor of Kaduna was there. And when he spoke, he talked about how girls are particularly being targeted because they are more, would the word be, they have higher value when it comes to paying ransom and things like that. And he says the way kidnapping is going, it just seems that with the paying of ransom, it will just encourage this menace. But he's saying also, in order for us to fight this, he says that bandits can be wiped out in 2 or 3 months using a combination of air power and boots on ground. The solution to this menace of bandits is to kill them all. Nobody living in the forest is innocent. Kill them all, he reiterated. So we've always known his very firm stance on how to deal with bandits, unlike some of his other counterparts who think that, who feel that negotiating with them will work. Yeah. So he's making it clear that in 2-3 months this can be wiped away.
At that same meeting, also the governor of Sokoto State. Aminu Tambuwa was saying very clearly, was begging the Minister of Finance that, listen, don't collect the loan that we have, that we owe you, because we need the money to develop, especially in the educational sector, saying that they stand to lose about 32 billion naira if schools remain unsafe. So they need that money to help to refund and squad. They're reaching out to their private sector partners to see what they can do to support them, because they need the funds right now to make sure the schools are safe. Okay, any other story in the Punch?
The major head, okay.
Yes, the major headline. Let's take the major headline.
Okay, yes. So the United Kingdom has promised to offer asylum to persecuted members of the IPOB and MASOB. According to them, they have noticed more like an unfair treatment and marginalization of those groups. But the federal government is angered by it, saying this is more like a disrespect to what we are fighting. We're fighting that this is more like a disrespect, is a sabotage to insecurity. And that the Northeast right now, we've had insecurity issues majorly. We've had cases of prison breaks. We've had security agencies being attacked. So you saying you're going to give asylum to this group of people who we have suspected are a part of what is happening in the Southeast at the moment is more like a disrespect to our nation. But the socio-political groups, PANDEF, Afenifere, Ohaneze Ndibo, are in full support of the UK, saying that this is more like, although we know that some groups, they have been proscribed, but there are some groups who are actually the terrorists who nothing has been done about them. So,
one more story in Punch?
Yes. So the follow-up on the story of what happened on the 29th of March, where a man, Mr. Clement Kagwak, was attacked by the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, Daladi Umar. Now, the follow-up is that the senator representing Plateau North, Stephanos Gyang, has said that he got petition from the lawyers of Mr. Clement that he was doing his job at the Banex Plaza, and the attack on his person by the CCB chairman was 99% of it was carried out by the chairman himself, not that the security men, that he kept slapping and hitting him. And so the request is for the upper chambers to investigate, and the presidency should, there should be a form of, I wanted to get the word right, actions taken against the person of the CCB chairman. We on the show had asked for him to resign, that was going to be the more appropriate line of action. But since he hasn't taken that honorable road, then justice should be meted out concerning him.
And he owes an apology.
People have been quiet. The story has moved on, and we've moved on from it. So
let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're moving on to Daily Sun. Asylum for IPOB members, FG angry with the United Kingdom. PFN to Buhari, govern Nigeria with equity and justice. El-Rufai asks military to bomb forests, wipe out bandits. NDLA boss Abuja drug syndicate arrests female undergraduate and boyfriend. No reasonable government will allow Pantami in its cabinet, says Wike. Military will soon crush criminals in Southeast, says presidency. And Anambra Guba Abga aspirants, no fates June 23rd. Okay, which story? PFN to Buhari?
Yes, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria asking the president to govern with equity and justice, saying that the separatist groups have just been bolder. They have never been this bold in any other administration till now. And that's because everybody is calling on the president to act like a father, to bring Nigerians together as one, to ensure that he's a father to everyone and not, giving room to some particular tribes to lord it over others. According to the national president, he said that he's traveled around for crusades and preaching, and he can tell the problems of Nigeria. And once the church can get it right spiritually, that things will work out well in Nigeria. So it's not like they want to oppress the president, or like they don't like the president. That there was a time the president was sick in the UK, he had to send one of his people by the Holy Spirit to go and minister to him. So they want the president to live. They love the president, but they just need him to be more of the father. The president still responded, saying that nobody, no secessionist group can bully him into sharing money for anybody, that Nigeria is one and Nigeria is united.
All right, Governor, go ahead, Faye.
So INEC is saying that they are going to resume the continuous voters registration, which should start April 28th, and it will continue up until the third quarter of 2022. And this is, of course, for the elections that will be coming up in 2023. And so it's giving the people who are the eligible voters are, of course, those who are 18 and have never been registered before. And then if you also have like a polling unit, you would like to transfer your polling unit from one place to the other. And if your PVC is damaged, and if your names was spelled incorrectly, and you'd like to correct all those errors too. And it says that INEC is doing so much concerning expanding the polling units and making them more accessible, because that's what has caused, they have detected has caused voters apathy. It says that since 2019, he says, I think, sorry, 1999, voters registration has only, participation has been about 35%. And if you compare it to a country like Ghana, like last year, they had 55% voters participation. So INEC is going to try and do as much as it can towards 2023 so that there's better participation of voters. All right,
Governor Wike has thrown his weight behind the hashtag Pantami resign now. Wow. He's saying that the minister ought to have resigned from government. Immediately, the information about his extremist views and in support of terrorist group came in the matter of public discourse. So it was in other times that others have said that he would have resigned by now. That is wrong for him to be holding such a sensitive position, that he should indeed resign.
Also mentioned the fact that the U.S. has put him on a watch list.
Yes.
And that if the U.S. government puts a high-ranking member of your cabinet on the watch list, the least you can do is to investigate that person. Right. And so he's expecting such actions to be carried out concerning.
But this is Nigeria. Things are just different around here. Moving on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Why there won't be national conference, says presidency. NDLA arrests undergraduate's boyfriend for selling drugged cookies to school children. Falana Olurade, others float new political movement. Elimination of bandits collaborators will help actualize safe schools, says El-Rufai. Judiciary workers strike. Panson Johnson meeting with federal government deadlocked. 2023 elections, 10 likely landmines. hope I didn't read that story. I thought you would have been interested in the landmines they are predicting. But the drug story, which is quite disturbing, what happened was that a young girl who actually consumed these cookies slept and started seeing altering things in her dreams. She was having, she had problems sleeping. And I think they found out that the cookies she had actually was laced with drugs. So then they traced it back to where she got it from. So a young lady called Rhoda, they withheld her last name, alongside her boyfriend. Both were 300 level in a university in Abuja, actually sold these cookies to her. And others, and according to the papers, they've been selling to nightclubs, to restaurants, and even in traffic. And these drugs were laced with Arizona. Arizona, as many know, is a highly psychoactive variant of cannabis, and alcohol and other ingredients. And this drug has, in fact, after they now went to their house, to the boyfriend's house, they now saw he had about 200 capsules of Arizona in their house. So they're producing more. They saw quite a bit of cookies that had already been produced for sale. And they began investigation, and they're also looking for a third person who is part of the team, and seeing how they can arrest them. But what is more importantly, because we discussed this yesterday, is that there's a larger, there's a bigger syndicate of these drug sellers who are lacing biscuits, cookies, and are selling out. And we're going to bring in someone from the NDA to help us understand the results of these things. Yes, go ahead.
What even made it more shocking is that they're also targeting little kids, so younger kids, like probably in secondary school.
Wow.
Where
they get addicted.
As well.
Yeah. So you buy these things and you don't know that they're laced, and then you take them on and you start acting in a certain way. So this is something we need to, this is a state of emergency issue that we need to have a real conversation. So I think we'll find out sometime maybe next week or early, or maybe this week, to get the experts and have a day where we discuss drug abuse, especially in young people. Okay, Jusun, who has a story?
Yes, I do. So Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, Jusun, and Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, were supposed to have a meeting with federal government representatives that was to be led by the Minister for Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige. It was slated for 3 p.m. And these Jusun and PASAN were there even long before 3 p.m. seated, and they said they waited 2 hours and no one showed up. And after then, of course, they proceeded to leave the meeting venue. Even though they were asked to stay back, eventually tried to explain to them, they were like, clearly there's no respect for time. And if you want to have a conversation with us concerning you, at least first of all, respect the time. Anyways, the minister responded quickly and said, oh, it has been postponed. I don't know if it was, if they failed to communicate that to them, or some communication lost in transmission or something, but definitely Jusun and PASAN are saying, well, we're still open to conversation whenever you need it. But
who is doing the KPI for our ministers? Do we have like a KPI?
I've been to events where everybody in the private sector showed up. And then the government official is one that delaying us, because they are the chief. So they just strolling maybe 1 hour, 2 hours later. And we have to just wait. Sorry for coming late. You know, state issues. I think which state
is our state?
They always say that they are busy to do other things. So to come into your event or meeting, but this is a serious case. We have to
because they're not paid per hour.
What's the KPI?
They're not paid per hour.
Who is measuring the effectiveness of our ministers? What's the expectation? If we have so many people on strike at the same time, and then the minister that is supposed to
attending an event on time is not part of their KPI.
This is a crucial meeting. It's a crucial meeting to deal with striking.
They're not paid per hour, so whether they attend or not, they'll get paid. That's why.
Vanguard. FG fumes as UK offers asylum to IPOB. Okay, we talked about this. Friday story of not taking. Agitators for secession can't bully Buhari, says presidency. Insecurity, we're dealing with consequences of 33% unemployment, says Fayemi.
True.
No timeline for food deregulation yet, says NNPC boss Kiari. And George Floyd's killer, Derek Chauvin, convicted of murder. Okay, which story are we taking? I have the George Floyd story. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it anyway, because he was finally convicted of, I think it was manslaughter, an unintended murder, I believe. I'm trying to get the exact reading here.
Yeah, second degree murder, unintended, and then there's, I think there's third degree, and then there's manslaughter.
Yeah. So I don't have the details
here. They're looking to, you may be getting, that's Derek Chauvin. That was the police officer that stepped on the neck of the black American until he died. Right. And that, so he may be looking to about 40 years in prison. But so I guess this will start a conversation for us about police brutality here in Nigeria and what the consequences are when you are caught, something like that. But the governor of Ekiti State, too, was at that Safe School program that he had, and he was talking about just the consequences of unemployment. So he says, I would just like to say, it is good to be tough on crime. We must be tougher on the causes of crime. You cannot have 33% unemployment rate in any country and not expect to deal with the sociological implication of that. So he's just basically saying that, yes, we're fighting insecurity and we are doing all our best to fight it, but if we do not fight what is causing it, if we do not collaboratively, that the governors put their hands together to deal with the causes, then, you know, they'll always have this issue. And he was just also asking the other governors that this is what they have to do to show that they have also played their part towards staving this crisis that we have right now across the country.
Professor Tomori, who is the renowned virology and former president of the Nigeria Academy of Science, said to Nigerians, ho-ha, go for the COVID-19 vaccination. And according to him, take the vaccine, do not debate it, because there is no debate about this. We should continue to take the vaccine. The third wave may come if we don't change our attitude. So according to him, the third wave is imminent, and we must all go ahead and take the vaccine. And we should stop debating if it is safe or not. Moving on now to, is there another story in Vanguard? I think we have 1 or 2 minutes. The Guardian. We didn't talk about, they said we shouldn't bully president.
I covered it in the other story, yes.
I thought it was an interesting story. Okay. The Guardian. Debbie's death deals huge blow to fighting insurgency, says Buhari. We discussed that. Let's find that story. Senate divided as livestock bill scales second reading. Gombe bans hunting of 24 as 24 died in Waja Jesu War. And the world on the verge of tragic climate as temperature rise continues. Okay, many of us didn't read Guardian, right? So
we are feeling the temperature rising. We are feeling it seriously. The weather is hot. And I'm complaining in Lagos when one of my representatives in Abuja was saying that client inspection cannot take place between 10 and 4 because nobody goes out during the sun. So, I mean, when the sun is extremely hot, so she only takes somebody to the site in the morning or in the evening, and she was so vehement about it that I realized it must be a really, really terrible situation working within the sun in Abuja. So those of us in Lagos are complaining. Think of those in the north.
Okay, interesting. Wow.
It's really hot.
I feel really
global warming.
Global warming.
Yeah.
You know, when
and the fuel is also scarce.
He's talking about global warming. We are still worrying about food. Basic stuff, you know, the lowest form of the Maslow's hierarchy. We're still worried about
it. We have not handled.
We're looking for food.
Yes, so food is that simple.
Mariah, we don't have vision. Everything, it's not going to jump on us.
We have land, we don't have means.
We need to start by saying, this is what we are taking this year, this is what we're taking next year, and follow through. That's the only way we can progress.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we move on to our hot topic for the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So recently, a bill that is causing controversies is currently before the House of Representatives, which seeks to scrap local government in Nigeria. According to reports, the bill is seeking to abolish the third tier of government, which is the closest form of government to the people. Join us on the show right now is a convener, activist for good governance, Mr. Gbenga Shuluki. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning.
And we'll also be joined very soon by the honorable member who is sponsoring this bill. Once we have connection with him, we'll talk to him in a moment. But let me come to you, sir, first. Your thoughts on this. I mean, we understand, some have described the local government as an orphan, especially since the reform that happened in 1976, saying that weakened the power of the local government. And since then, we have not really seen the relevance of this group. In fact, they've just been practically fed from the state government. In your view, do you think scrapping it would solve the problem or strengthening it would be a better solution?
Thank you very much. I think the person who is sponsoring that bill is ill-informed, and there is an anti-democratic element. Some of us who are not even in government are clamoring for strengthening of that arm of government. We have 3 tiers of government in Nigeria, for God's sake. Why try to legislate on to stop one? But what we are saying that, look, let us work towards strengthening the total of government. It is not just that they are not performing. It's not the reform per se. It is the way and manner the leadership of our local government emerges. Because they are more or less cronies of governors, ministers, and the powers that be in their states. Secondly, we have what we have in Nigeria is not a true federalism. What we have is called quasi or facade democracy. I mean, federal structure. It's a structure where governors go cap in hand every day or every month to go and get a handout from Abuja. That is not it. So it's just because it's like that today. Because look at what we have now. We have a state governors who don't want our local government to be autonomous. Today, the judicial workers are on strike because they are demanding autonomy for the judiciary. Yes. So you will see that it is not about a reform. It's about the orchestrated plan of those in authority not to make it work.
Yeah. So, when I first heard about it, I was in shock. I thought it was a joke. Like, is it possible to want to do that? Well, that's on one hand. But on the other hand, we have heard many people complain. We don't feel the local government. Everything that they are meant to do concerning education at the local level, primary health care at the local level, waste disposal and things like that at the local level, we just don't seem to see as if the local government is doing anything. What we see is usually they go and get some funds from state governments and share it amongst themselves, and it does not show in the roads, in the school, nothing. So maybe that's why someone like the senator is thinking, well, maybe we should pass something, we should pass this bill and mop up our resources and put it to better use.
Well, I think I would disagree sharply with that. Number one, even a bicameral legislation is not what we desire in Nigeria. Look at our pulse. We have a very lean pulse. We are seriously in that state financially. So we need to, it is even the bicameral legislation that we should reduce to one. The local government is a tier of government. Yes. To make it work depends on what the players who are at that level of the states does. Because we have a state, once they are elected at local government level, they are made to have a joint account with the state government. From there, they cannot do anything except Mr. Governor says, do this, or the commissioner in charge says, do this. So that's why they have practically taken away their responsibility, and they are even taking away their resources. So definitely you cannot get things from that. So I expected a legislator that is responsible and responsive to be concerned about how best we can return the local government back to what it was. Not trying to scrap it. Scrapping it is not the proper way of doing things now.
So I think it will also be unfair to assume that the local governments are not really functioning effectively, because there are some local governments that have made a mark. For instance, the Shomolu local government, where the chairman, who had done about 31 roads, he has bought what's this, transformer KVAs for the community and all of that. He's built hospitals, he's worked on their schools, and they have, so the residents around have felt the impact of that particular Shomolu local government. Yeah. But how do you think you can, present the fact that this local government is working, so that we know where the problem is? There are some local governments that are not working, but there are some local governments who are actually doing what they are supposed to do. Yeah. Is there a way that the residents, the people who are benefiting from this local government, can stand up today and say, we need this local government because they are doing what they are supposed to do against this bill?
Well, I think basically the people who happens to be the major actors in this thing should also own up the process. Okay. The process of rejecting that obnoxious bill, it is the people that should reject. Well, let me also commend the chairman of Shomolu Dola. I've not met him before, but because of our advocacy, we have cause to be at that place so many times.
Let me pause you for a quick second, because I'm told that our Honorable, who sponsored this bill, is on the phone right now. So it's good to hear from him. Good morning, Honorable Bob Solomon. Are you there?
Good morning. How are you?
Good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you.
So many have argued that there is no...
My name is Solomon Bob, not Bob Solomon.
Oh, I do apologize. Honorable Solomon Bob. I do apologize for that.
Thank you.
Right. So many have argued that scrapping the local government might not be the right way, might not be in the best interest of Nigerians, because there have been advocates trying to strengthen their powers because they feel that they are the closest to the people. Why, in your view, do you think it's important for us to remove that tier of government?
Thank you for this opportunity to at least shed some light on the bill I'm sponsoring. I've listened, I think I got a few things of what the contributor inside FHU was saying. And what he said basically encapsulates a lot of the misinformation out there concerning this bill. This bill is not meant to scrap local government. Far from it. This bill is meant to strengthen our federation. Okay, it's meant to strengthen the principle of federalism upon which this country was founded. Okay, yes, I'm a lawyer of many years' experience and a constitutional lawyer for that matter. I know that local government is not a tier of government in a federal system. So it was a corrupted version of federalism that was introduced in 1979. Okay, following the ill-advised 1976 Dasuki Commission's report, okay, that called for uniformity of local governments across the length and breadth of this country. That was wrong. And we should never assume or proceed from the points of view of thinking that our constitution is, let's not apologize our constitution thinking that everything is right with it. Okay, our constitution, though we call it ground norm, it's not a ground norm, because the true principles of the first principle don't apply to the constitution. What we do is to chip away from the constitution those elements of incongruity that not lend it to proper, federal constitution. One of which is this bill, regarding delisting. The word is to delist local governments as a tier of government. Federalism embraces power share between two tiers of government, central government and the federated states. Okay? The local governments in the federal system all over the world are babies of the states. What we have in Nigeria is that normally the states have to fund local governments, create as many and fund as many as they want and they can afford. That is the norm. Anything that what we're doing is anomalous and it's absurd. So I'm not calling for local government scrapping. Local governments all over the world are units of administration, recognized. But in a unitary system, they are a feature of the constitution. They are not a feature of federal constitution, such as we purport to run this country. They are a feature of regional, provincial, or state governments. Okay? Yes. If I may elaborate a little bit for you. Right now, it is impossible for any state in this country to create local governments. Section 8 of the Constitution purports to give the powers to create local government to the states. But Section 9 takes it away completely. You can't do that. You in Lagos State cannot create local government for Lagos State and have it federally funded from federal accounts without the concurrence of the state, say in Sokoto, Zamfara, or in my own state of Rivers. Why? Because you require 4/5 majority of members of the National Assembly of each house to vote. And that would include members of all other states, aside from Lagos. Why would a man in Rivers State or Sokoto, for that matter, have an interest in local affairs regarding how Lagos, the government of Lagos State creates? It's an absurdity. So I'm not calling for scrapping local government. I want it to return to where it ought to be. By the way, you guys should know, like I said, reference earlier in my initial comments.
Let me go. Now, thank you, sir. Let me pause you for a second. Let me pause you for a second because you've been very crystal on what this bill is about. We're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll let our guests respond to you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
We still have our guest with us in the studio, an activist and a good governance convener. And I'd like you to respond to what the Honorable said earlier concerning delisting, not scrapping the local government. What are your thoughts on that?
Number one, I have not reacted to the fact that the bill is about scrapping. But what we're saying is that even where it is today, where the local governments are today, they are not performing based on the fact that they have become appendages of the governors. So now, handing those over back to them will mean that we will not even have that type of government.
But there's no tire. That is not meant to be there.
What we're saying is that we're going to get there. What we're saying is that, okay, if it is not, then why the haste? Why not remove that clause in the constitution that says this is that about creation of local government? Instead of saying that every state must be concerned. Look, in every civilized society structure, you must, if you are able to manage your county, mayoral or local government, once you can fund it, that should not be a problem.
Right.
But unfortunately in Nigeria, we have a quasi federal structure that we are running. So that's why these things are coming up now. Then the timing too is also not a very perfect
let me let Tokwe throw in a question here. Let me see.
Okay, your question. Is it question? Because every time I've heard about the issue of local government, I know we have a problem, that the local government structure in Nigeria hasn't been effective, and that much we can all agree. Yeah. But
the question to the Honorable?
Both of them would address it. Is the issue of delisting, does it have to do with the fact that we don't want the local governments to ask for funds? Is it a fight for funds? Is the local government autonomy a fight for funds? So let's address it's a money issue so that we know this is what we're dealing with. Each local government chairman was able to collect FAC, which is the system we run now, where everybody goes to federal government and collects money. If it is a money issue, let's deal with the money and say that every local government should source funds internally. If that is done, we might not even have this discussion at all. But at the crux of it, it seems like this quarrel is a quarrel of don't pass my funds through government, through state's governor. Let my funds come to me directly. It's a money issue.
Okay, let's deal with it.
Is it a money issue that is making them delist it?
Honorable Bob, did you get that question from?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. I got it.
Go ahead.
So may I say something?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay. It's where to start from the last point. The other speaker made is both the money issue and a non-money issue. First, the objective of this bill is to strengthen our federalism. Some are referred to it as anti-democratic. No bill can be more democratic than this one. If you are talking about true federalism, restructuring, I've heard a lot of talks about that in many years. This is a bit of it. If you want true federalism, this is a bit of it. Okay. Now, a money issue in the sense that a lot of states get a lot of money to local governments. Some they don't get enough, or even near enough. One of such states is Lagos. Lagos has been local governments here. Let me just give you some a bit of a graphic illustration. In 1991, when Jigawa was created out of Kano State, Lagos and Kano populations were just about the same, 5.7 million. Now, Jigawa was carved out of Kano, and then it got 27 local government areas. And then one half of old Kano got 44. The two combined have 71. So, at 1991, when Lagos and Kano populations were the same, one state got 71, one was 20, and the state stuck at 20. Okay. Now, they make local government be federally funded. They get their money from operational accounts, just as federal government and state governments. So those states that have been, because those people are created in a slapdash, in a arbitrary manner, those states that have been unjustifiably rewarded have got their unjust rewards permanently cemented in the Constitution. Under sections 8 and 9. You can't change that.
Right.
Okay? Those that have been, hard done by remain with their disadvantage forever. Okay? So what was the objective criterion used in creating governments? The answer is 0. I just give you a graphic instance of 2 states. And that kind of situation permitted the entire exercise. Okay? Now, if you defund, or rather, someone was saying something earlier about basically just allowing more states to create, and removing the difficulty in the local government from the Constitution, so that this argument will go. The moment you remove difficulty in the local government, while it's still a tier government funded for operational accounts, you open the window. There will be a run. Okay? There will be a huge run. There will be a domino effect. Every state this country will create 1,000 local governments per day. Because they know it has become an avenue to get funds from operational accounts.
Right. Numbers.
But all these are irrelevant if we just do what is necessary. What I see as a part, in fact, the fundamental principle of this country's founding ethos, that is federalism ethos. Okay? Our founding ethos did not make local government system a tier of governments. It was a three-tier system. In 1960 Constitution, it was a two-tier system, as it should be, and it is all over the world. Under 1963 Constitution, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. Now, sometimes people say, oh, the arguments in the song with respect to true federalism and development in rural areas, was in the First Republic, 1960, 1963. So how were government run there? There were municipal council areas in the south. In the north was called native authorities. They were called native authorities. Okay? And the laws governing them, their funding, their creation, their establishment, the laws were made by regional governments. In the southwest there, you had momentum in local development, just as in the north, and then the southeast. Okay? So the idea that if you delisted local governments and made them as they should be, a subject of state creation, the governments will emasculate them. For me, it's really a non-starter, and it's a bit absurd because no government is power.
Okay, we get that point. Honorable, let me throw in a question for you. Go ahead.
Please, I mentioned 2 things, that if this is a fight for funds, why don't we just, in a yes or no, not fund the local governments and make local governments be creative about generating funds locally to develop their local areas? Oh, okay. If they're not getting funds from FAC accounts, would that not solve the problem by just cutting off the funds from them?
Yeah, that will go some way. That will go some way. Okay, but so long as they remain a tier government, they have many other ways in which they can influence government policy decisions with respect to many advantages that can come from their business as a tier government.
Let me go on a quick break, sir. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Yes, BC had a question before the break.
Okay, Honorable Solomon, I quite understand your explanation so far. And it sounds to me like still a form of restructuring. But I would have suggested that why don't we restructure properly? So we look at the matter from the beginning to the end, holistically. So we start by ensuring that the states, first of all, have control of their resources. Then the federal, which is now the center, is being paid something too. So when states can handle their resources, they will now determine how many local governments they need to serve the people. Don't you think that should have been the flow of things?
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, your argument is valid. Okay, I am for full and whole-scale restructuring. Okay, but where we're at this, whatever we can do to chip away from this, from the flawed federal system, let's not hide from it. It would require something more momentous to, get to what we are saying. Even the little bill that just seeks to, basically restructure the character of power sharing in a federation. See how much, repos is causing, and how much negative publicity generated, because people haven't bothered to understand the content and character of a federation and what it actually is all about. It will be more dramatic if we were to talk about, first of all, doing what you're saying about state taking full control and give only the censor. That will become more dramatic.
We'll come back to that, sir. Let me, because I have very little time. I want to take a few more questions for you. Go ahead, Mariam.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing I would like to speak about also is just at the House, how things are being done. Bills are being passed and deliberated upon. There's supposed to be a forum for stakeholders to be involved in the communication. And one of the grounds that the union has, the National Union of Local Government Employees have, is that you had gone further, the first and second reading, almost it seemed to them as if we were trying to pass this bill in spite of in spite of knowing where they are coming from without their involvement. So could you better explain to them what the process has been so far? And maybe they have no cause to be afraid of not being involved.
Well, thank you. A lot of what we discuss suffers from, lack of scrutiny by individuals and even all of us as a collective. People don't bother to go through details to know it in fully before they come out to make comments publicly. Okay, this bill, has only undergone the first reading. First reading is just basically an announcement. Announcement is just as a matter of course. Okay, nothing at that stage, no debate, nothing, no arguments is heard on the bill at first reading. Okay, the state of contentious is second reading. And compared to what you are saying, the bill has not been read for the second time. I've not been presented for the second time. I'm still looking at, crossing the I's and crossing the T's. I haven't done all I have to do on it, and then the consulting. I'm not done with that. Okay? And I also understand the sentiments coming from various backgrounds, from individuals who want to maintain the status quo and retain their advantages, okay, and continue to shortchange those who have been shortchanged since 1979 when this introduction into federal constitution or local government system as a third government was done. So I understand all that. Okay, there's no assurance that this bill will pass, so the apprehension is not even necessary. The apprehension is even at the moment misplaced.
Right. Okay, let me pause you for
a second. Myself, as a sponsor of the bill, I'm pleased to understand that, to observe that a lot of people are not showing the requisite understanding, okay, of what it takes to the federation.
Let me pause you for a second, sir. Let me pause you for a second, because our guest in the studio, I'd like to hear his thoughts on everything you said. I mean, you've said quite a bit in the last few moments and made some revelations to us. In your view, do you agree, therefore, with the issue of delisting and given that is a kind of restructuring, indirect restructuring from the inside out? Do you agree with what he's saying?
Why go indirect? Why not go direct? There are many issues that are begging for attention from the National Assembly that are not being attended to. The delisting will be the major thing. Like my sister has just pointed out, look, if you want to restructure, if you have the guts, you have the balls, go all out and say, okay, these are that. Look at the way we are collecting VAT. Some places in the north don't consume alcohol. They do that in Lagos there. You collect VAT on alcohol, then share it among the states of the federation. That is injustice. That all you ought to fight, you talk about. It's not delisting. Delisting, it shows that you want to hand over the local government back to the states that are already dealing with them. Because when you look at what we have now, we have joint allocation, the governors dictate what happens. So we are saying that, look, if we want to restructure, if we want to strengthen the rough edges, we should go all out and say, okay, yes, we want restructuring. In Nigeria, there's no guarantee of prosperity the way we are running it. Presently, there's no guarantee of prosperity. Except we sit down and say, okay, let us look at the structures. Are the structures okay? So it is not about the local government now.
So with that, let me now come to you, because I'm going to have to wrap up with you very quickly, because I think that's the same question all Nigerians are asking for. Honorable Bob, why is it so difficult for the honorable members to simply restructure? You said, you used the word momentous, and I wrote it down. You said, when Busy asked the question earlier, why is it such a huge Herculean task to get the lawmakers to say, you know what, this system is not working. Can we totally restructure? We've done a confab. We've had documentation to this effect.
Recommendation.
Why can't you and your colleagues simply agree to restructure holistically?
Thank you. I'm sure you know, as well as I do, the diverse sentiments that prevail in our country, which are products of our own different backgrounds. Okay, so forming a consensus on the subject as contentious as restructuring is only going to be difficult. Okay, at the level of National Assembly, where you would hope that everyone has got necessary enlightenment and awareness and patriotism, okay, to understand these things and then go forth with them, there are still a lot of difficulty, you know, with respect to the ability of some persons to be persuaded, you know, about, I said earlier about some persons who want to retain the status quo and the advantages they enjoy therefrom, and others, you know, having to bear the brunt of it. You know, so it's Nigeria is a very diverse country, okay, tribally, culturally, religiously, and otherwise. There are always sentiments that will, you know, permeate thoughts at different levels from, you know, depend on, you know, individuals' background and perspective. So it's always going to be difficult. But don't let us, you know, muddy the water. Okay, the fact that we cannot get the bigger, what you consider bigger issues of restructuring, we can't get going on those ones. Cannot prevent us from doing
on that
the one we can do. Somebody mentioned talking about Lagos State, and what's that? Lagos State, VAS, and all that. Of course, that's the legitimate points. Okay.
All right, so I think you've answered my question, sir. Unfortunately, I think you've answered my question. I think we're clear on the response.
Thank you.
We have to run at this point, but we thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us on this show. All right. So before we go on a break, Choco wanted to say something. No, thank you very much. I'll let our guest go.
I was worried about the internal democracy, something that we haven't had at the local government level, where rarely would you have opposition win election at local government level, and when they do, they complain of not having access to the governor of the state. So if we do this delisting, it will almost mean that we will have a one-party system in every state where the governor determines who would win at the level that. How do we strengthen democracy by delisting? That was supposed to be a question, but I don't think that we can take that.
I'm even more worried because we know now that the states are not even willing to release funds to the local government. Now, if you hand over the local government to the states, where they are the ones that are the authority to make and delist and choose, we are closing this down, we are opening this, they may not even have any functions at all.
Let me take a few tweets to that. So Honorable Demola Alalade says, if the House is considering to remove the local government as a tier of government, then it means the House of Reps should also be scrapped, as I feel the local government has more part to play in the lives of our people than the lower chamber of the National Assembly. Many other people are saying well said to the Honorable, because I think it better explains what we thought. We came here thinking it was a total scrapping, but he's explaining a delisting. Festus Akimboyewa says removing state government rather than local government will be more beneficial for Nigerians. States are the ones hindering our development. Wow. So it will be interesting to know what will happen at the stakeholders meetings where everybody will have to put
Let me let you have a final word on this.
Like we're saying the other time, the issue is that it's not about delisting. It's about, if you want to restructure, You cannot hand over local government to state governors and think some governors will let it go. Like we were mentioning the other time, that we have a fantastic chairman here. Because when people come up with this porous argument of saying our local governments are not working, I know of this local government chairman. I have cause to go there, and I've seen wonderful things he has done.
And the many others that are working.
And we have also seen those who are in Lagos, who are so docile and inept. So you can see it. So it is not about this, it's about looking at it holistically, because if you don't look at it and try to just throw away everything, definitely the governors, some of the governors who doesn't meet well, will also be able to get away with.
We have to run. I have to run, unfortunately, but thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure having you on the show. I think it's a trust issue. We just have to speak with the government and just trust that one is going to work for us. That's all we can take. When we come back, move on to another topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So last week, the state government announced 261 days of rainfall. Also issued at the press conference is a potential flooding in some parts of the state. We had actually spoken with the special advisor to the governor on the state on drainage and water resources, Mr. Joe Igbokwe, on the phone. And unfortunately, we had connection issues, so we brought him here physically because it's important we get this information concerning their preparedness for the flood that is imminent. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Even dressed in this, your khaki. It's like you're ready for work.
We're ready for work. You know, this is rainy season.
So
I'm delighted to be here.
Thanks for coming. Now, tell us about the 261 rays you're expecting, what the government has done so far to prepare the state for the flood and to clear those who are staying in the drainage-prone areas, the flood-prone areas, I mean.
Okay. First, we must not forget that Lagos is a coastal city.
Okay.
Yeah. And prone to sometimes massive rainfall. In Lagos, it's been a tradition to deal with our channels. We have the primary channels, we have the secondary channels, we have the tertiary channels. Tertiary channels is the one you have in front of your houses. And from tertiary channels, you now move to secondary channels, and then to primary channels, the big ones, and then into the lagoon, and then into the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a way of life in Lagos. Yeah. And we, in the Ministry of Environment, the biggest ministry, one of the biggest in Lagos, always prepare ourselves, you know. Every year we have NIMET. NIMET will come and Nigerian Meteorological Agency does what is called a routine checks and then report of what we're going to expect. And like you said, 234 to 361 days of rainfall in Lagos. Measuring the highest we can get, the maximum is about 1,747 millimeters. That's how the measurement, you know. And we also know that we have people living in low-lying areas, you know. You can have them, Owode, Waya, Makoko, Badia, Ijora, Ishalu, Wata, and Shibiri, you know. Then along this corridor, as a consequence of occasional release or systemic release from Oya Dam, Ogun, Oshun, River Basin Authority, you know, occasionally they release water from their dam. And once it's done, the whole of Agility, in some areas, those of them live in their Agility, somewhere here, Agwaiketu, and then of course, Itowolo and Ajegunle will be flooded, you know. And this is normal in Lagos. If you live in the low-lying areas, you should expect this. And then of course, you know, there's massive construction of residential areas in Lagos. And once you take up a place, water don't have the ability to, flood don't have the ability to sink into the soil. So it now goes to the roof. So you now have to collect those you know, water, you know, and then to the channels. And then, of course, we're having issues of having to build up areas before we even think about building channels. People go to build houses, march to get houses, to get homes. People rush and go and build before we start looking for where to put the drains. That's a major challenge. You see, I've been to Texas in some states in the United States. If you go there, they will build the roads, put the drains, put the gas pipes, water pipes, everything within schools, hospitals. The last set that will go there is just the human beings that will go and occupy that place. So everything would have been put in place. But yeah, sometimes
whispering.
you get the cities, you get the houses built, without order, without any order.
All right.
And
let's get a few questions
from
you.
So I have
start having issues.
Yeah. So I was going to, when I heard you were coming, I said, every year we do this an annual visit where we talk about flooding. But I would like to know what the ministry is doing that is new, that has been introduced newly in combating this flood. Since we understand that these things happen every time, what are we doing differently this time around?
I am the special advisor to the governor on drainage and water resources. And that one is, my area is all about drainage. Okay. You wouldn't know you have up to 400 secondary channels in Lagos.
Wow.
And close to 200 big channels, primary channels in Lagos. You maintain it the way you wash your clothing, the way you maintain your houses every year. Last year, we did 52, you align some of them, concrete alignments. Some are just, just original channels, it's God created them. But now you have to put channels, concrete alignment. It helps for easy flow of flood, and then, of course, maintenance. Maintenance is that you have to clean and clean and clean and clean all the time. So we have done 52 in areas of construction. We have done 52. We did 52 last year.
Okay.
Spanning a distance of about 30 kilometers. I mean,
out of 200, you done 52?
No. 52 we did. Well,
just making sure that we're sure the numbers.
Yes, done 52 last year.
Okay.
And then this year, we're looking at 56.
Okay.
We are doing 56. In fact, work has almost started. Okay. We're doing 56, spanning up to 46 kilometers. That's measurement. Right. The 1, 2, 3. You might add them up the distance. Okay. You now get it. Then, of course, we dredge, cleaning. That one is a continuum. Once you enter rainy season, like on Saturday, I was in, we call them, they have names, system 1, system 2, system 3. I went to system 6. That system 6 is the longest, one of the longest in Lagos, up to 10, 11 kilometers. It passes through Roof, Lagos University Teaching Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So all the pet bottles and so many things you can find in Agege Motor Road, Mushi, goes into that drain. Wow. So if you take one boogie to that place and you clean it today and it rains tomorrow, if you go back to that place, you won't believe it. You won't believe it.
All right, sir. So I know that the state government has advised people living in the lowlands to make plans to move. And they promised that they were going to tell them when they will need them to move just before the flooding comes. But there was no plan, or there was no information on where they will be moving to. I don't know if the government has a plan where they can, maybe like a shelter where they can keep them for a bit, because these are people who have livelihoods around their area, so they have to leave it for a time. We don't know how long, to be somewhere else because of the flood. Is there anything the government is planning to do to help these people survive that bit?
That's what we call low-lying areas. And you're not supposed to be there in the first place. We talked about it the other day. You're not supposed to be there. So if you go there to go and...
Somebody gave them approval.
No, there's no approval. Some of them, they don't have approval. They just go and build.
Wow.
They just go and build. Who will give you approval to go and build in a wetland?
Wetlands.
Wetlands. And then what does this? What do these wetlands do? When you have massive flooding, it starts as a holdback. Then when it starts, for sometimes water will flow back from the lagoon if it's too much. But at the time it begin to recede. It is those wetlands that will hold it, and then thereafter it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. It's what we know. So it moves into the lagoon. And then you now have the grasses again, you will see them. So there are reservoirs. There are retainers. So, but people go there. They don't build better houses that they don't build Paco because they know it's not they just go there. But they're not supposed to be there in the first place.
So where they stay now doesn't matter. You just live there.
Just live there.
No, they themselves are not familiar with it. They have become conversant with them, with what they see every year. They get prepared.
So let me be sure I'm sure. So you're telling those who are living legally that they are living there illegally, move.
Move. We always say
the flood is coming.
It's coming. We always
you're not going to stop them out. You're going to, all right, okay,
move.
So, sir, like we know that Lagos is largely below sea level, and we understand that water would always come. You know, you mentioned you were specific about the areas that were cleared last year. But this year, I noticed that you said work has started. It's a bit worrisome that work is starting when rain is starting. My expectation would have been that work would have ended before rain starts. So that would have cleared the place before the rain comes. That's number one.
Let him answer that
question. Number two, let me just put it together. Number two, it's a huge burden to put on the government to keep the environment clean. Wouldn't you think it would be cheaper to dedicate a lot of time to sensitize people to take ownership of the drainages so that with or without your departments, those massive drainages will get cleaned? We have the monthly sanitation. Wouldn't it be important to inculcate that culture in them that they take ownership of cleaning by themselves without involving you?
Okay, two questions. Let me just deal with the first one. The first one, you said, we always wait for the rains to fall. No, we do our work every year. Every year, if you go out now, you will see our people. It's these people in yellow, we call them a FAG, Flood Abatement Gang. They walk in the metropolis, you know, they're certain, preparing for the rains, you know. I said, you need to check our habit. We went to walk on my two was flooded, so we went there. There is what we call road drains, filled to the brim, plastics, everything. There's also outfalls, the one that will take it to that river. We call them outfalls, the drains. So we clean up the place. Got our boys clean up the place because we have resident engineers. Once it starts raining cat and dog, they'll have to go out. Like on Saturday, it rained cat and dog. I was in Lut, that's system 6, to check what is going on. We don't stay at home. You have to go and monitor. So we're always on our toes. So we finished that road drain, my two, to make way for, because once water is number one enemy of roads. Once you allow water to be on the road for, it will just go. Once it's asphalt, it will just go. That's why we're going through concrete, because that one can, That's what is happening on Bagada,
Deer Street.
Concrete. That's what
I can testify.
They are sorting you people finally.
Using concrete
over 30 years.
So we returned after 1 week. The whole place was filled up again. We now started tracing the outfalls, the one that would take water from that road drains to the river there. We noticed that motor parks, canteens, they were sitting on top of those drains.
Can you imagine?
And we thought, they said, look, do you know that you are the one causing this massive flooding? We can't have a mind. They don't. They're ignorant of what is going on. Well, we got our boys to clean it up because there's nothing you can do.
So what's the repercussion on them when you find out that they're the ones? What do you
Number two.
You may have to jail everybody. if you but actions carry consequences. Actions carry consequences. You know, we speak to them believing that people will get educated and get certain things done.
Might I suggest something?
Yeah. So, because if you don't punish offenders, people's hearts are schemed to continue to do wrong. It's in the Bible. So we must find a way.
So might I suggest that maybe you involve them in community service of joining those, in clearing those drainages?
Yes, in Ghana, if you drop pet bottles, they will get you for hours. You'll be picking,
so when people know that,
you will never be able to do it again.
So what are we doing to implement such?
It happened, and it's still happening. There was a man who is supposed to know better with full dose of Western education, you know. By 5 a.m., he loaded his boot. He was going to walk and dropped those things back
by the roadside. Somebody caught him.
So he was caught.
Wow.
And he was
I need to ask you about your work with the...
I don't know whether I've answered the second question.
You have not answered the second question, sir. I should remind you. How is it not cheaper for you to dedicate a budget to, educate people. So you go from, especially bus stops, those NURTW bus stops, they're usually filthy every day. So maybe if you tell them and you educate them, they would create a system within themselves to clean, thereby reducing your expense in...
Well, we have people like that. We have some bodies, children, schools. We bring them to teach them from the starting point, from the beginning, that we must be conscious of your environment. Look, the tertiary drains in front of our houses are supposed to be managed by local governments. They're supposed to manage. Then we deal with the primary and secondary channels. But they are not living up to expectation. In fact, we've been trying to call a stakeholders meeting. Only a few of them turned up. Because all the things you see in the secondary channels and primary channels come from our streets, where people are living, in front of our houses. But we are managing it.
So my question therefore is, what work are you doing with Loma? Because their job obviously connects with yours. There are many people who throw
it's the environment. It's
on the environment. So, because I know the past administration was trying to privatize this issue of cleaning up the waste management, and there was an issue with that. What laws or what directives have you done to ensure that Loma is clearing every area that needs to be cleared on time? Because I know that Nima has complained several times that in the neighborhood, they have to dump stuff all over the place because the Loma in some areas are ineffective. So how is Loma, what is Loma doing to make your own job easier of cleaning all the drains on time?
The capacity of Loma, I can attest to that it's almost impossible for you to reach every part of Lagos at the same time. But when they say you can't go to a remote part of Badagry, there are people who are there. And, but you can't reach our people. Attitude we need to change. We need to change our attitude on how to deal with these things. And know how people are saying, hello, that's no go that. When it is raining, people will go in the dead of the night. I went to inspection somewhere in Jegunle. 2 3-story buildings, there. There's a canal behind there. That's where they dump all their refuse. When you're on inspection, they lock up their flats. They heat and run away.
In spite of a proper waste disposal place provided for them, or is it that there's nothing close to them?
No, nothing. Get a dustbin.
Yes.
Get a dustbin. It should have. You should be able to buy it. Let's see your dustbin in front of your houses. And if Loma has not come, we know. Call their attention. You can call Loma. Their numbers are displayed, but they go the dead of the night to go and dump those things.
Inside the canal.
Even people who should know better are flouting this.
Is there any way we can hold all those parts? Ourselves more responsible by... So when you come to a place and you notice that the canal or the gutters are filled up, you find everybody living there that have houses there. Is there a way we can institute that? Because when they know that if their gutters are full, they will be fined by the government. They will not allow anybody to clear it. Is that the way
something you can do? You want them to flog them.
Sometimes what comes in front of your compound it's not you. It flows.
But you
should sometimes they put for your compound. You can put those like a basket, something like a sieve. They put it. You can put it in front.
We call it nets. Nets. So that you'll be able to take those things away. Sometimes
reblock it.
The fence. We went to Lagos International Airport. There's a canal that went into that airport. There's a big fence, massive fence. Do you know that these things pulled it down?
Yeah. Look at that.
It's heavy. Go and clean this thing tomorrow. If it rains the next day, you will still see this.
But sir, I saw something like this in Alaba International. It is the Alaba International Market. This thing is terrible there.
I'd like to open our phone lines because there are scientific ways of doing this. Yes, recycling is ways we can do to reduce this waste. We've seen how people have done it.
We need to PET bottles, are the biggest problem that we're having now. Yeah. But we need to put value to that. There's a company in Lagos that says, if you give me 1 kg, I give you 15 naira. And you know what it takes to go and those things. That PET bottles are so small. It's too small.
Before you get that 1 kg.
The last stakeholders meeting we had, I said, okay. Let's put a value to this thing. You raise it to about, say, 500.
Yes.
500.
Everybody will
you won't see this. Remember before, iron is everywhere.
Yes.
Car doors everywhere. You can find anyone.
Yeah.
Because they are selling.
They have good values to eat. And people are now, if I'm traveling, if I'm going to the east,
it will not be
people.
Sir, can it be a case of it cost us this amount of money to clear, but it will be cheaper if we fund people to clear it for us by them clearing and selling, where the government would encourage private sector to set up businesses to...
It's in the pipeline. It's not, because we have to deal with this issue of pet bottles. Yeah. It's in the pipeline.
Like in my estate, there are baskets, big ones on the streets where they collect these plastic buckets.
Once you have a concentration of people somewhere, the next thing is they generate waste. What do you do with it? So it's a concern.
Okay, let's look at. Should this also be? So I know that there are countries that have used their waste to generate power.
Yeah. In University of Nigeria, Nsukka is the latest.
So is there anything you're doing to, either go to the schools, partner with the schools to do research on how you can use the one we have in Lagos State to generate power?
It's in the pipeline.
It's in the pipeline.
All these are
University of Nigeria, Nsukka, just starting 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Got a plan.
University of Lagos.
Remember we went
powered
to
by this waste.
They use methane.
I said we are going towards that. Every day is being debated to get values for these things.
From this.
Once you get values for these things, you won't see it again. People will take it as a job to go and...
Let's talk about the issue of the rain. So last year too, your commission was screaming, "Hey, rain is coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming." He did not say.
I felt that they seized the rain, sir.
Yes, now I was like, this rain that they were
is it true that they seized the rain?
Let me finish, please. The rainmakers. Last year we made quite a bit of noise, and we all kind of geared up for this rain. And we didn't see the rain. This one that they told you 261, and come and tell us again 261. Are you sure that you read this rain? Correct. This rain.
We rely on NIMET, sometimes, it's not accurate. Science is not 1 + 1 2, but science works. What they use to how they do those things, we don't know, but sometimes it works. Okay. Sometimes they will say it's going to be low and it will be high. Sometimes they say it's going to be high, it's going to be low. So it's
we should get our own scientists.
Is today your wife's birthday?
Yes.
A Twitter follower just says
happy birthday to Mrs. Igokwe.
Dr. Mrs. Igokwe. My jewel of inestimable value. The only sugar in my tea.
No. This one is real. Please, I want to bring back to the markets. One of the things that I find, like growing up, I've always noticed that our markets are like they are like a dump site. They have massive dump sites, and we have not created a structure to ensure that the market cleans itself. So every market, go to Alaba International, go to Trade Fair, go to Lagos Island, go to Mile 12. Every market, you see a massive dump site, and yet you walk into the market and you still see piles of
but the markets have more biodegradable dirt. Yeah, they look like markets. The plastics. The
trade fair is a bit cleaner. Let me even not put the blame where trade fair is actually a better organized market. The trade fair.
They have people that take care of.
Yes. So why can't we put that in place in other markets across in such a way that the burden will not be on you to clear the drainages, but it will be enforced that they must create a system that cleans their environment.
Exactly.
Pipeline.
It's already working. It's already working. Major markets like Computer Village.
Yes, I know Computer Village.
So those are structure. We're talking about my 12 market.
My 12 market is going out of that place. It's going to Ikorodu. That market.
Please,
so that we can.
So, with your collaboration with the meteorological agency, NIMET, as you say, there's just talk everywhere globally about climate change and rising temperatures and how this causes drought, flooding, So we know in Lagos there's going to be even more flooding. We have people on Twitter who are saying that we have residential areas, now not the low-lying ones where people are living in slums, but they are talking of places like Banana Island, Lekki. What is NIMET and the Ministry of Environment doing towards sensitizing people that live there? Are we going to tell these people that live in these huge mansions to live there, or what are we putting in place to protect them?
No, we are doing a lot, and it's not something you have to bring up every day. Like in Foursquare, that's estate. Foreshore
estate.
It's below sea level. Some part
really?
It's below sea level, and water don't go out.
Oh.
So we're moving to the age of dikes. That's what is called dikes. Concrete wall that will protect you from what you don't create a water retainer, kind of big wall where this flooding will go in. After that, you now use pumps to throw it into the lagoon.
So that's also on the pipeline.
Yes, we have it.
We have
that issues in Dolphin Estate.
The pipeline
we have issues in Dolphin Estate and then
okay, so for sure. Okay, let's talk Adebayo. Adebayo, are you there? You're live. Go ahead from Alagbado. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, I live in Alagbado. I'm a share border with the state. What I believe is that these people around that area should have love. So basically,
it's not easy hearing you. Could you speak a bit louder? It's too close to his TV. Are you aware of Alagbado, the issue?
Alagbado is in Alimosho.
Yeah, the drainage in Alimosho. I think that's also Nima's area. Because they've always had issues with drainage, the waste management generally. And the fact that Loma doesn't pick up on time. But I hear that, according from Nima's story, Loma have tried to reach out to some of the communities to begin to pick up their drains, but their waste. But the problem is that many communities are still yet to be
Loma is doing a lot. We have about 5 or 6 dump sites in Lagos, Agando, Ikorodu, Badagry, and Ekwe, 5 of them. And then we have transloading stations. Transloading stations in Agege here. And then one in Oshodi. And then one in the island. So what those transloading stations do is we push it there in the night because of traffic. In the afternoon, daytime. Then in the night, dead of the night, then I'll start moving them to the dump sites. So that's what a lot of work. You have almost 25 million people here, and they generate waste on a market, and a huge markets. Loma is doing a lot, but we need to do more.
Yeah, just
we need to
we're talking about Loma, please let me also mention here, they tend to drop their waste. As they are going. Yes, please, we need them to have better...
If you have a compactor too, but when you use those open
so it drops
PSP...
I don't want to ask this question. The question in my mind, I don't want to ask, but I'm just trying to find a way to rephrase the question. Let me let you go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say,
I don't want to bring up old wounds.
Norman
bring it on.
Norman needs to increase its capacity.
I think so.
What are you doing about that?
Those guys that came before, during Ambode's time.
Visionscape.
Vision what?
Visionscape, yeah.
Now, when a lot of people had issues with how it came about, we understand the issues you had. But they just seemed like they knew someone, they knew that they knew the business of waste management. They came across to us, some of us. And these guys need to know, because if you compare them to the Loma trucks we see today, these ones are dilapidated. They should be off the road. These are so.
Well, we have many of those trucks. You are thinking that
I don't see those ones.
And PSP people, there are people who buy it and then key into Loma. There's so many things. The other one that came, apparently we are overwhelmed by the amount of waste. You know, they're trying to make it look as things we have in London, in highbrow US areas, something like that, where people don't.
So instead of getting rid of them, why did we incorporate them to the waste management?
We don't need to. We don't have to whip over.
And you told me to bring it down. Let's go ahead.
We can learn from that.
Whatever is happening in Lagos, whatever decision that is taken in Lagos is in the national interest or state interest of people of Lagos. It's not just done.
A political
we cannot see somebody who is prepared to do work and is doing it very well.
Yes.
And there's so many things that went to the ground.
So we trust that it was the right decision. Okay, very good. Let me take Charles and I'll come to you. Good morning, Charles. Are you there? Sorry, we lost that call. Yes, this is your top one.
I wanted us to just also address each other, share concrete tips on tell our audience to take responsibility for the deaths within their area. Most of us get Saturdays, we still have environmental sanitation on last Saturdays, but most of us don't comply We don't have any more.
No, it's supposed to be an everyday affair.
Yes. That's what caused it.
We don't comply with
it.
They were not doing it. So let's just talk to...
When we had that day, right?
Yes, we're cleaning. Some places, some persons were cleaning.
The only
I grew up cleaning.
Well, I know we grew up cleaning. Talking about today. Nobody cleans on Saturdays. You sleep. The only people I know that clean are on Thursdays, market owners. Those ones take out the environment to clean. But on Saturday mornings, we are all sleeping. That's the truth.
So what I think BC is trying to say is that when it was a law and a policy that you had to do it, people came out and but when you now made it a conversation, because we made a conversation, but this is not, it's a human rights issue. How can you stop people from going out and then we now let everything go?
But we should take care of our environment.
I've told you, if we all come out in front of our houses
and just clean
it, and everybody does that. Every tenement, you know, all the tenements do that on a daily basis.
Daily.
Or just every 2 days. No, it's just clean the front of your house. And you do your own. You will have a clean Lagos.
Yes.
One thing they didn't.
If you don't do that.
Weekends is just the best.
If you don't do that.
Don't you clean your house daily?
Leave their houses by 4 a.m. to go to work.
Nobody you clean your house daily.
I don't clean it in the morning.
Another thing we need to do is tie our trash. We just empty it and then that's how it flows around. If you tie it in a plastic bag neatly and dump it, you now don't have that spill all over the place.
Rats can eat it and scatter it.
So you cover it, you cover the dump site.
Yes, cover it.
Trash and then cover your dump site. You have less of that.
The problem is with all of us. And I've told you that the major problem we were having is the tenements. That drains in front of our houses.
We need to work. I agree.
Once we're able to make those drains in front of our houses clean. You can't find anything in the secondary channels. You can't find much in the primary channels. And you can't find much in the lagoon.
Even traffic.
Let us take responsibility.
Leave traffic.
Traffic hawkers should be made to clean the floor when they are the close of work every day.
They don't stay
because if plantain chips and throw it on the floor, we will drink water and throw the bottle outside.
It's your responsibility to eat and sell in your house.
If you are driving on the Ikorodu road, people who even know better, they are eating this, you are taking away place, and you see them throwing it away.
It's not on the seller.
You can buy on the road and eat and trash in your car.
Why doesn't want them to stop the buying on the road?
You know, before the commercial buses, they have baskets inside their buses. Now, we're not seeing it again, but we all have to go back.
There's some things that makes Lagos different, or Nigeria different. You know, the fact that you can cook a whole soup from the road.
Take it back.
It is a very unique element of being in Lagos.
So you want us to preserve it?
Preserve it. Thank you very much. So is there any other things you want to tell us about?
No, I'm saying that we are working. So
a lot of things are in the pipeline.
People are coming into Lagos on a daily basis. You don't know the number.
Exactly.
They are coming into Lagos. This is the only thriving city in Nigeria. The biggest, fifth largest economy in Africa. So people are trooping in. And once people come in, you have refuse.
Yeah.
You have these things. You have traffic issues. We battle with traffic issues. We battle with this, we battle with that. So that is Lagos. So, but the problem cannot be forever. We are dealing with it head on. We are not restricting our steps.
Let's take a few tweets for a runoff.
It goes, what you generate this year is not what we're going to generate next year because people are coming in. So we need to be proactive. We need to be hyperactive. Yeah. We need to think ahead of time, and that's what we are doing.
Let me address this issue of people coming into the country, into the States, because many of us travel abroad. It's the system you meet on ground that you adjust. You don't say because I'm coming from Africa, you now start dumping trash in the US. So it's how we set our house that they will help us coming. When they say that even was
my emphasis is on population. That's what
I'm saying now. We're not all moving to Canada and everything. Let's take a
QMK Davida says, I once got investors from the UK to generate power from waste. Sent proposal to several states, but they won't deal. Part of the proposal was to collect the waste from the state for free, yet it did not fly. Forget this country, I beg.
Please, I'd like to stay on that, Mr. Mariam, because that's a very important tweet.
Bring it on.
There are many private sectors who have tried to come to your government, and for some reason, they don't get the reception from your government.
I believe that person is hearing me. Bring it to the Ministry of Environment.
Okay, should he ask for you?
We know about it. He's already working in the University of Nigeria. So guys, we're working in various universities.
So what you're saying is that you are ready for private sector partnership. They can come to you directly.
Of course. A lot of them are working with us.
Because waste cannot be managed by the government by themselves.
It cannot work.
Clearing the energy. One of those are looking for contracts to come and clear the energy. They can come to you. To come and support. Because the people, Nigerians want to support your government.
Even people, in some estates, people volunteer, get people to do it for them, clean up. So sometimes you take responsibility. You do these things.
All right, that's all we can take.
To get the ambience that you need, and people are doing it.
Thank you.
And we encourage them once we see them.
So if you're a private sector,
reach out to the Ministry of Environment.
You have an organization locally international that can support.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. And don't forget, lots of things are in the pipeline. And
yes, this pipeline is very, very full.
It's a very, very heavy pipeline. But we trust that the Lagos State government has our interest at heart.
Yes.
And they will definitely complete all the things in the pipeline.
Yes.
See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye for now.